and a wunderschönen guten Morgen, a wonderful good morning, and a huge welcome to the Mainova Ironman Frankfurt, our European Championship. My name is Paul Kaye. It's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of Ironman and Ironman Germany, and to welcome these incredible athletes. To all the fans who have joined us, it's lovely to have you here as well. On these posts around this beautiful venue, there's a QR code that you can scan, which you can use to submit your questions. The 5 best questions, you'll be getting vouchers for the official Ironman merchandise store down on our Lange. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be able to hear directly from some of the best athletes on the planet. And my goodness, when we talk best, well, a huge welcome to what we have dubbed the capital of champions. What a showdown we have scheduled for Sunday. Just a quick introduction before we go into hearing from our athletes. He's going to be wearing the number 7, representing the United Kingdom, Kieran Linders, last year's run-up, who went on to finish 8th at the Ironman World Championship in Kona. Huge welcome and thank you, Kieran. He's got the number 6, Schwarzrot Gold. He'll be representing Germany, 2-time Olympian, 3rd at the 2025 Isuzu Ironman South Africa African Championship on debut. And on Sunday, his first Ironman race on German soil, Jonas Schomburg. He's wearing the 4, representing the red, white, and blue, the stars and stripes of the United States of America, the country that gave us Ironman and triathlon. 3rd at the 2025 Memorial Hermann Ironman Texas North American Championship. 3rd at the Ironman World Championship in 2024. And looking for another huge day here in Frankfurt. Please welcome the Bison himself, Rudy von Berg. I mean, if Rudy's wearing horns, then the Vikings should be wearing those helmets with horns as well. He's wearing the number 3. He's your 2025 Ironman African champion from earlier this year, and last year's Ironman World Championship run-up, representing Denmark, Magnus Ditlev. He's got the number 2, and this is very much a home race. 3-time Ironman World Champion, your reigning Ironman World Champion. 2nd place in last year's Ironman Pro Series, racing in his 2nd Ironman Pro Series race for 2025. The one, the only, Patrick Lange. And we go back to our Vikings. You can get ready to give a huge welcome to last year's champion. When he clocked a course specs time of 7:27:21, only 2 weeks after competing in the Olympics in Paris. He's also the 2025 Ironman Texas and Ironman 70.3 Aix-en-Provence champion, your 2021 Ironman World Champion, Big Blue Kristian Blummenfelt, Norway. So you can scan those QR codes. We are looking forward to hearing your questions. I get to ask a couple of questions first, but it's usually your questions that are sometimes the most interesting and definitely a little bit more entertaining than mine at times. The Mainova Ironman Frankfurt European Championship is our 11th race in the Ironman Pro Series, and this Ironman Pro Series has definitely risen and raised the level of racing like you cannot believe. The term every second matters. You see that with how the athletes chase down that finish line and chase each other down as well. Frankfurt is one of the oldest and most prestigious of our races on the Ironman Pro Series circuit, and known for welcoming the cream of the crop when it comes to the world's best athletes. And if you look at our pro list and just look at who's sitting here this morning, that is testament to that as well. Our capital of champions, we look forward to crowning the champion on Sunday on the Römerberg, which will be packed with spectators. That long run up that long red carpet from the Lange is epic indeed. $87,500 in prize money, 5,000 points in the Ironman Pro Series, and points towards that $1.7 million bonus prize purse at the end of the year. We'll be broadcasting this race live and free across multiple platforms for global viewers, including Ironman.com, Outside TV in the US and Canada, DAZN and L'Equipe in France, and YouTube's amongst others. And a live broadcast available on ESPN and Disney Plus for our Caribbean and Latin American viewers, and not to mention the local German channels as well. Now, let's hear from our athletes. It was a pleasure to see you this morning at our race hotel, Kieran. You almost seem to be almost surprised that there you are, you're in the race hotel. But the biggest surprise and the biggest emotion was when you ran up that carpet onto the Berg last year and you crossed that line second, and you actually broke down in tears when we were interviewing you. It was a huge race.
Yeah, it was a race that changed my life, and many probably don't know that it was actually going to be my last race as a pro. I thought I'd kind of got to the level that I could get to, and I gave it kind of one big final push, did some things that, some new things worked out. I think I've just figured out a few small details that made a big difference, and when I crossed that line, there's a very big difference between thinking you can do something and doing it, and I think just the emotion of the event and what I just achieved kind of just took over.
And when we were chatting, you referenced, we often say in Ironman, we talk about the ohana, the family, and you talked about the village that has made you. You want to talk a bit to that now, and also what has changed between last year and this year?
Yeah, so leading up to last year's event, I trained with 3 local teams, a swim team, a bike team, and a run team, and they've been with me since I was young. So they taught me how to swim, they taught me how to run, taught me how to compete, and it was a real full circle moment when you realise the people around you that have taken you to that level, and a lot of them are volunteers. So that kind of also makes a huge difference. When I think because the day was so horrible, I kind of looked back and just remembered that my coach, the amount of hours he stood in the rain totally for free, just making sure that we had a coach to kind of give people that had enthusiasm with running the ability to run. And I just kind of look back at a lot of the sacrifices that they've made just so that I could have the opportunity. And then once you've realised that opportunity, it's a heart.
And then here at the Minova Ironman Frankfurt, the European Championship, that second place last year set you up for a top 10 in Kailua Kona, the Ironman World Championship in Hawaii. But what I want to talk about is there's been a lot of talk about the heat that we're anticipating on Sunday. And I remember there was I think it was an Instagram little story that you posted of you in your homemade little plastic tent, sort of heat chamber. Have you been using that to get ready for Sunday?
Yeah, so I think, another thing I said, I'm training with local clubs, and the big difference from last year to this year was I was kind of just trying to break even last year, and that has changed now. So you're kind of just trying to figure out ways of doing things. I'd seen other people do it, so I brought I went to a garden centre, brought a portable greenhouse, got some electric heaters off of Amazon, and just made the tent as hot as physically possible. And that's what I used for my heat training. And I think it's not necessarily ideal and top notch, but you're getting the basics, you're training in a really hot environment. And I think it goes to show that sometimes you can achieve quite a lot off of very small things. I think that heat chamber cost me about £30 to make. So when you look at these facilities where that might be the cost for going there for an hour, I think for some of the age group population that might not have access to these facilities, because at least in the UK you need to go to a university, it kind of showed what you can achieve from almost nothing. So I think it resonated with a lot of people of what can be achieved if you just put some thought behind it.
That segues very nicely into my final question for you about, you're obviously part of a new wave of British long course talent that are inspiring others, but just talk a bit about your inspiration.
I think everyone wants to just be amongst people that have similar ideals, similar values, and I think when it comes to the long course racing, I think it's a place where the event is so humbling in the sense that it's so hard and everyone's had a good day and a bad day. Everyone that you're surrounded by is just really nice and just pure talent, and it's nice to see, you see it all the time, when you probably see it at the weekend where someone might be having a tough day and another athlete comes past and they're saying, well done, you're doing great, keep it going. There's an element of camaraderie that, okay, you're racing people, but you're trying to make it to that finish line because it is such a hard challenge. And I think the people and the environment that these events have it kind of just pushes you to be even better, and it's really nice to be a part of.
And on that, the medal that you got for coming second is the exact same medal the final athlete got at 10 p.m. on that Sunday night last year. And we look forward to more of those incredible, inspiring stories this weekend. Kieran Lindars for the United Kingdom, thank you so much, and all the best for Sunday.
Keith.
A little bit of Germany as we move to the far end of the stage. Jonas Schomburg, herzlich willkommen. Lovely to have you here in Frankfurt at the Mainova Ironman Frankfurt European Championship, sitting on this stage with these athletes after your Ironman debut in South Africa. And an interesting story that I heard from Jonas this morning, and some of you might tell from my accent that I am South African, is that I asked him why he chose Ironman South Africa, and he reminded me that as a young man, he won Iron Kids in South Africa. And then he went back there to do Ironman South Africa, the African Championship, and on debut, a brilliant podium. And I just want to remind you, as you sit next to these gentlemen here, I know there's a lot of camaraderie off the course and fierce battles on the course. When we were chatting in the hyper ice recovery zone after the race, how you mentioned that it was just a training day.
It was true. It was just a training day. It was a long training day. I haven't prepared actually pretty much because I was staying there with my family in the Eastern Cape. So it was basically a local race. And this time is a bit different. I had like a proper block now in Front-Romeu and had some time to ride my TT bike actually, and had a nice training block. So it's completely different story in this time. But I think with this start field, it's going to be a nice race.
As amateur age groupers, we often wonder how these athletes use the word nice or easy in the same sentence as Ironman, especially at a European Championship. Jonas, it's going to be very special, I would imagine, on Sunday here in Frankfurt at the European Championship with the black, red and the gold on your bib number. I know you've raced short course in Germany, but to race your second full distance Ironman in Germany, I would imagine is going to be very special.
It's always special as a German to race in Germany. Like I've raced many times now in Hamburg, but first time now here in Frankfurt. I think the atmosphere is going to be like really special. I watched it many times in television actually. Now to be part of it, and I just look forward to go there on Sunday morning, even though I don't like the early wake-ups, but it's going to be a really special, especially on the run course. I was running now the last 2 days, the run course, checked it out and imagined all the people there already. Like it's going to be really fun, I think. Yeah.
In a way, it might be quite interesting how you're going to manage your pace with all that support, because one can get a little bit carried away, but whatever it takes, we say on that marathon, it's time to fly, human fly, not just with Hoka, but with the incredible support we get from the spectators. What did you learn in South Africa at your first Ironman that you've adapted for Sunday's race?
I'm actually from my natural side, going from the front always. Like I'm a good swimmer and try to make the race fast as possible, and kind of worked in South Africa, but it's going to be this time a bit different with a different feel. In South Africa, everyone was basically on their own. Like Magnus passed me like 100k in on the bike. Martin van Riel was there, but basically everyone did their own race. So this time it's going to be more like tactical a bit. And I have to see how the swim plays out and then play my cards.
Here we go, representing Germany. Welcome to the Mainova Ironman Frankfurt European Championship, and viel Erfolg, all the best. Jonas Schomburg. We're going to chat to the gentleman wearing the special cooling technology on his head. Those horns have built-in fans to keep him nice and cool. Representing the red, white, and blue of the USA, Rudy von Berg. Huge welcome, Rudy. Your third place in Texas, as is with any championship race, it's a stacked field, also a hot race. From the gun, it's full gas. Just talk us through what really worked for you in that race, and what does it give you that you bring to this race?
I kind of see this year as 3 Ironmans and kind of 2 stepping stones towards the Ironman World Championship in Nice. And I don't see them as training races. I'm definitely preparing fully for each race, but in the way my body works, I'm usually better towards the end of the year, and it's not from lack of trying and training or from, doing lower volume or lower intensity. It's just throughout the year, with, let's say, going to 100% blocks, I just, you just kind of manage to inch up little by little. So I'm hoping this kind of second step that will be a bit higher than Texas. I was pretty strong in Texas, but it wasn't the best day, I'd say. On the bike, I felt quite weak even a few days before the race. I was actually quite worried. I just felt awkward on my bike, and the legs had nothing. And actually on race day, it was a bit similar. So I'm hoping for much better this time around. And the overall the race was still quite good. But as I said, hoping for a bit better performance and feeling at this race, and then even more in Nice.
Typically, we see our athletes based in North America race a huge amount in North America, other than when they step out World Championship events. But you race under the American flag, but you're very much a multinational. You've got one foot in Europe, the other foot in the US. You've raced all around the world as well. Do you think that actually has a bit of an advantage to you, that when you come and race in Europe, it doesn't feel unfamiliar to you?
I'd agree with that. I grew up in France till I was 19 years old and moved to Boulder. I was born in the US, but, so I definitely kind of have a foot in each continent. And as you said, it does feel familiar. I mean, I come to South France usually a few weeks before any race in Europe, so I don't have the jet lag the race week. I'm at home in Europe before the race. So, that's just definitely a positive.
And you talk about growing up in France, and your dad also hugely passionate when it comes to Ironman, still podiums in his age category and races the World Championships. Can you talk just a bit about your sporting family and how that has led to you sitting right here today?
Yeah, I mean, it's been in the family, as you said, since I've been born, and I can't really remember a time where I wasn't leaving the house to ride, or my parents bringing me left and right every day for training after school. In Europe, it's kind of normal to do sports outside of school. In the US, sometimes they don't really understand because everything is part of full. You do all your sports linked to the sports teams. That's full. But my parents had to drive a very high amount of kilometers. You should actually tally it up. It'd be kind of interesting to see. But I mean, they were kind of all in to bring me to training every day after school. And I was already very kind of efficient when I was younger to do the studies and then go straight to the run club or even tennis and football and everything. So it's been instilled in me since I was little. And as you said, my dad been racing Ironman my whole life, and he's still doing it, still training, and still knows everything about my heart rate, power, cadence, floor temp. So he keeps me in check too.
I remember in the early days of your pro career, you kind of like, it's almost easier when dad is not there initially, but now I think you've got over that.
Yeah, definitely. He's a bit annoying sometimes still, but generally, it's better than when I was 15 and this was a bit more annoyed, I guess.
Yeah, it's usually the kids that are being annoying. A huge thank you, USA's Rudy von Berg, and all the best for your Sunday. We shoot back down to the tall gentleman from Denmark, Magnus Ditlev. Magnus, your win at the Isuzu Ironman South Africa, the African Championship, was pretty much, I suppose you could say, the perfect way to start 2025. Full points and a win.
Yeah, that was a really good way to start the season. Went a little bit better than expected, actually, and felt really strong, and even had could dial it back a little bit towards the end and enjoy the race. So that was the super nice way to start the season, and it went downhills in St. George, so I'm hoping for a comeback again now here.
You opened up a huge gap on that bike course, and typically we hear from all our athletes that early in the season, it was the end of March. Nobody's really at 100% form. You're using that race almost, or those early season races, as a test of form and fitness. You passed that test with flying marks. You open up a huge gap on the bike in South Africa. But I would imagine with this field, things are going to be just a little bit different. You're not going to be on your own. It's going to be a bit more of a tactical battle.
Yeah, for sure. I think the course in South Africa naturally lends itself to big gaps and people riding very spread out, whereas here the bike course at least is much faster and some through town technical section where I think it's going to be difficult to bridge it up really hard, but also with just the depth of the field, it's going to be more like a World Championships dynamics. Will mostly a World Championship field here, so it's not going to be like South Africa, but I think I'm going to give it my best still to take things up on the bike,
The fact that you're on the stage and in this part of this panel also means you're obviously one of the favorites at every race you line up at. You get talked about, you're on the panel. That comes with a certain amount of pressure. Does the pressure bother you? Do you channel it or do you ignore it?
No, it doesn't bother me that much. I think I'm pretty good at ignoring it or not paying too much attention to it. I think probably a bit more pressure on world champ and Kristian sitting to my right here. So I think pressure is good. You can handle it, and I think I'm pretty decent in managing pressure so far.
You do seem to not show a huge amount of emotion. I would imagine that's the Scandinavian in you. And I noticed that you gave that wry smile to Patrick and Kristian when you spoke of the pressure, as if you're deflecting it back towards them. We've got a lot of age groupers here, and we're going to have a lot of people going to watch this press conference. You know, a lot of athletes will be lining up to do their first Ironman 70.3 somewhere around the world this weekend, or their first Ironman, possibly the Minova Ironman Frankfurt European Championship as their first Ironman. As somebody who's at the top of their game, what's your key advice for some of our age groupers?
I mean, I was actually coming through the sport in the beginning as an age grouper, and I raced 70.3s as an age grouper for many years. So I think the thing that for me has been really important is finding a good community, having fun the training you do, and being part of a community that has the same values and where you love the same things and going out training together. So for me, that would be an advice is to find some people to train that have fun with the sport, not get too caught up in being too serious too early on. For me, it was in the beginning at least, and still is just the joy of moving fun with the sport got me through the sport.
Thank you very much, Magnus, and luckily we have the Tri Club program, which plays a lot to what you've just said. From Denmark, Magnus Ditlev, thank you so much. And the smiles and the comments were directed when it comes to pressure at our next guest, Patrick Lange, also Germany, 3-time Ironman world champion. This is your home. You've welcomed these athletes into your lounge, but they're here to beat you. But that in itself is, you wouldn't want it any other way, Patrick.
No, not at all. It's great to be back. It's great to be back in my home state, my home race, as I said. Even though this race seemed to be a little bit cursed for me, it's one of the only races in the world, actually, I was not able to win yet. And I'd love to change this on the weekend, but I mean, look around. It's gonna be probably the hardest it was ever been here to win. So I just said to Magnus, he was super quiet on Instagram, which is a bad sign for us all. So he was locking himself up in a do you into altitude? Probably. Yep. Okay, that's another. So you see, it's gonna be super hard, and especially with Magnus, I think the bike course suits him very well. So we will see him put the pedal down and put a lot of pressure on all of us. But in general, coming back from a little injury, I don't feel too much pressure these days, because I think if I just go out there and do my best, do what I love the most, enjoy as much as possible this beautiful race. After the cold race, last year we expect a hot race, which also suits me. And it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a big party.
You have proven that when the stakes are the highest and when the pressure's at its highest, that brings you to the top, and that's where you perform your best. And you've talked about the fact that this is probably going to be the most difficult Ironman Frankfurt European Championship ever. So in a way, those are very strong fighting words you've just shared with.
Yeah, I agree. I always seem to flourish or extend in those World Championship fields. And this is definitely a field on a World Championship level. So I think, having the best athletes of the world around me always, gets the best out of me. And this is what I expect from myself on Sunday, to just go out and go as hard as possible.
And then on your bib number, you've got the German flag, which some of your competition don't have. That's a little bit of extra fuel in the tank, is it not?
It is, and it especially helps on the run course. For me, I've raced all over the world, and this run course, I said it all the time over again. This is the single best run course in the world. You'll enjoy it, Rudy. He's the first time here, so 4 laps, as we all know, and the spectators get to see us so many times, and they get carried away. They will scream until your eardrum is about to burst, and this is what makes it so special. And I had probably my worst days in my career I had on this run course, but those guys, they really, they almost carried me into the finish line. So no matter the day you have, it's gonna be a really very emotional and great run, simply.
And you have always, no matter the day you've had, always respected the fans and respected the race and come up the Roma bag and cross that finish line. So chapeau to you. I was watching the Iron Wheel last night. Fantastic little review on last year's race. And you said a comment, and they showed you at the swim start at the Lange, and you said that you think you lost the race in the first 20 meters of the swim. Just talk a little bit about that. And therefore, 1 year later, what's different?
That's absolutely correct. I still think that that I lost the race actually on the first 20 meters. Because these days we have such a high stacked and close fields, and when you're losing like 2, 3, 4% of performance, you're ending up nowhere. It's also, I think, over the last year, what especially with the inaugural Pro Series brought, I think, a lot of attention back to Ironman racing. I think we have seen competition growing up from other race organizers, and Ironman did a great job. Thanks, Scott. I think you're the mastermind behind that Pro Series, and I think it just paid dividends that Ironman is now back on the top of the Ironman athlete or general triathlete athlete want to go to Ironman back. And last year I just positioned myself pretty poorly, and I'm not the tallest guy. I mean, look at the comparison of leg length between Rudy and I. Like, he has like 20 centimeter more leg. So when we have like a start with the feet in the water and we have to run in, I have just short legs, and I shouldn't position myself in the middle of the field. So I just got run over and got my ass pretty badly kicked. So that's definitely one thing to change for Sunday. Position myself smarter, race smarter from the beginning. And again, also weather plays a huge, it's a huge mental aspect for me. And I simply know, I mean, ask yourself why I'm performing in Kona so well. It's probably because I don't think, I like the heat a lot. And the last year race was cold, so I'm looking forward for a hot race.
Sounds like you have a lot of fuel to light that fire for Sunday. You've been in the sport and you've been winning for over a decade now. In terms of you as Patrick Lange, and as Julia referred to you in the Iron Will last night, you know, you are a human, and sometimes we forget that. We think you're all heroes and you guys are untouchable. But in terms of your mindset, over all this time and all the success and some of the disappointments, in terms of your mindset, what has changed?
I think, first of all, for my mindset, it was good to win the third World Championship title. That is for sure. It calms you down a little bit. Then, you know, after, I think it's the longest margin in between victories. And coming back and show those young generation how it's done, once again, felt good. No offense. But yeah, I think it also just lighted up their fire to push even harder. And maybe now, especially after saying this, the target on my back is even bigger. But you know, I just love it. And for as long as I love it, I'm still in the sport, give my best. And I think this is the big key of my mindset. I'm really starting, or not starting to enjoying it. I always enjoyed it, but there's a little less pressure if you I don't want to be arrogant, or if you want it all. I think there are only very few people out there in the world who can say they won 3 times in the World Championships, and this is actually great feeling.
All fighting words when you do it just for love and you're having fun. My goodness, nothing can really hold you back. Germany's Patrick Lange, a huge cheer for him, please. And our final Viking, representing Norway, Kristian Blummenfelt. I would imagine you've been practicing almost Formula One style, your pit stops, how to get in and out of your tri-suit really, really quickly.
Oh, you mean for the toilet stop and stuff like that?
I was being very subtle.
Hopefully, I will avoid having those issues on Sunday. But I think last year I was calculating like 25 seconds of a pit stop, and I would say that's maybe what I was most pleased of from the whole race last year. Like, be able to be in and out and finish with the business within less than 30 seconds. I was even like looking at the last split to I had the down to second, and I was like, okay, I think I had like 30 or 25 seconds gap, and if I'm having a super quick drop off, then I might be within like touch, and we can run together for like a lap or so. And I actually came out of the toilet still with a gap, so quite stoked. So I'm not sure if I need to practice more, master it all.
One thing you're guaranteed when you speak to Kristian is to have a laugh.
But to admit though, I didn't use time to use the toilet paper.
We did not need to know that part. TMI.
Neither I washed my hands in there. So it was, I just prioritized hardly like what needs to be done and what's add-on. And yeah.
Fist pumps only.
I will use the next aid station to grab some cups of water and just, yeah. So if
Swiftly moving along. I don't know, I should not have gone there. Kristian, you did.
So if we can have some hand soap as well in the aid station, that would be great, just in case.
I have heard that we bought 50 bottles of this 1 liter, what do you call douche? Shower gel. So apparently we have someone stand by for you. Kristian, it's always interesting and entertaining to chat with you, despite the show that you gave us in the last bit of that run. For various reasons, you still went 7:27 and a course best, a phenomenal time. 2 weeks after Paris and having basically only ridden your TT bike in race week. Does that actually give you a whole bunch of extra confidence going into Sunday, because you've had it, almost a year now to practice a little more?
To be honest, what happened in Kona sort of smashed me down again straight after the Frankfurt race by being smashed by Patrick by an hour or so on the course. So I came off that race with confidence going into Kona, but it's sort of, I don't have the confidence from last year still now. Then it's more like what's happening over the last couple of months in the races I've done this season with, like I feel all of my races have gone well except like the puncture, but I've felt like I was performing well in Oceanside and Texas and in X. So I just hope to be able to bring that fitness into this race. And last year I came in with no ambition for this race, and I was just here to validate. So I think actually that should supposed to be my mindset on Sunday. I'm just here to finish. I have no ambition.
So the question is that your mindset? Somehow I don't think so.
So I think it's going to be like always, except actually last year I didn't think I would be in a position to fight for the win. So that was maybe the race that caught me with the most surprise how I was able to perform last year, because I thought that there's like no way where I can sort of take it through an Ironman, and I felt I wasn't able to do the training in advance simply because of the Olympics. But this time around, I feel I've been coming in well prepared, and I really want to show the guys that I can both join Magnus on the bike if he's flying by without emptying my stomach 15 times 10 minutes later, and also if Patrick is there, I can sort of join him on the run and not getting smashed after 3K and then au revoir.
Aloha. You did mention on your socials, if I'm not mistaken, that if Magnus does catch you, you're not going to let him go. You're going to go with him.
Yeah, so that's like the tricky thing.
Is that real, or is that just sort of bit of smack talk between you and him?
He just asked me which tactic I'm going for, either like taking it on the run or on the bike. But I always prefer to have the race under control coming into T2 and trying to stay with Magnus on the bike because then I feel I have him covered on the run. But if you give him 8 or 10 minutes, it might be difficult to catch up, or even 4 or 5 minutes. So I would prefer to join him on the bike. But if not, I would have to be trusting my run. And even there, Patrick is a super strong runner. And there's even more guys that is doing fast run splits. And as we saw a few weeks ago, none of us was the first guy to break 2:30 on the run. So the level is just stepping up. And I'm excited.
Do you think one of you is going to break 2:30 on Sunday?
It really depends on the pace on the bike, like how the dynamic is. And so no, because I guess we have one guy here who's going to who is there to put the gas on, and I will try to join. And it's more important for me to come into T2 together with Magnus than doing the sub 2:30. I would rather do 2:31.
So I've been, firstly, a huge thank you to Kristian Blummenfelt, our reigning champion. And we did post that members of the public who are not here, they could send us questions, and also you that are here, thank you for your questions. One of the questions we got from socials, which I'm going to put to you first, Kristian, because in a way, Patrick's alluded to it, that he loves the heat, and you can just look at those 3 wins on the big island of Hawaii. How are you in the heat, and what is your plan for the heat?
I've done well in the heat, and I've been cooked in the heat in the past. So it was it's maybe a little bit warmer here in Frankfurt than what I was hoping for, in terms of that I've been back in Bergen for the last couple of weeks since Aix-en-Provence. But I've tried to do enough time in the heat training inside on the turbo, and I hope to be well prepared, and especially with how I felt the heat was impacting my body in Texas. I hope that I can still have a little bit of that adaptation in me. So I hope that I can still be doing a strong swim, bike and run.
Magnus, being from Denmark, not the world's hottest country, what is your plan for the heat?
I mean, I've also obviously done a good job, I hope, after doing heat prep. So for me, being a bigger guy, it's really important to pay attention to the signals the body is sending. And I think even though naturally maybe I'm not being bigger not super well in the heat, but I think you can still compensate a lot by being smart about it and pacing well and racing smart and doing a good job with heat prep and cooling down during the race. So I think so far I've done some pretty decent races in the heat also.
And we'll have lots of ice on that course. I know Sajjad, who's here with us, has asked a question to Kristian about pushing the pace on the bike and what does it take to join Magnus, which I think we've been there, Kristian. So we're going to jump from that one to a question from Linus. What have you done wrong in the last years in terms of race nutrition, and what have you changed so that it won't happen again on Sunday? Now, Kristian, that was directed at you.
Oh, towards me?
Yeah.
I think what I'm struggling with the throat has been actually some issues from St. George back in 2022 or the full distance world championship, when I got sick there in advance, and I just felt like some really irritation in the throat, and I've been puking up a lot on training actually for like 2 years, but in most of the races I've been able to hold it back during the race, but then I've been puking up afterwards or before the race. So after Kona I just got like a check, and I got like a camera all the way down to my stomach, like through the in front here I could see like 1M, so I think it was like almost a meter down through my body. And then having a camera and doing like some sampling on the way up, and he saw like it was like some damage on the throat. So I got some sort of medicine to sort it out that I was using after Kona, and actually I haven't puked since Kona, which is the longest period of time without puking since that race in St. George in 2022. So I feel it's under control. So I think it was more like some irritation more than a nutritional issue.
Thank you for that. We're going to move to Patrick. We have a question from Christoph. If you had to choose, would you rather win this weekend in Frankfurt or a fourth Ironman World Championship? Actually, quite a tough question, isn't it?
It is a super tough question, and I always think about it. But I think I'd go with the fourth championship title, because it, as much as I love this race, it would put me into a very unique position in the history of the sport. So sorry Frankfurt, but I would take the fourth title.
It is a really tough question. Thank you for that question.
Is nothing, so it's the right. You think it's what? Yeah. Okay. Good. Everyone. Yeah. Okay. Approved.
So it would appear that they would like you to not beat them and rather win in Nice. This is what I'm hearing. I've got another question from Paulina, and anybody can answer this question. If you could change one thing of the course, what would you change? Jonas says, please make it shorter.
Let's just make the swim a bit longer, no?
I remember once we had a question like, if you could swap the disciplines around, which discipline would you want to swap around?
Probably the swim and the run. So I've done some Super League racing, and I think Kristian too, and it's different swimming after a hard bike. So opens the gaps even more.
Any other comments on if you could change something on the course, what would you change?
Not necessarily changing, but what I can tell you from being probably longest in Ironman racing professionally, what really changed over the last couple of years is that Ironman is actively reaching out to us pros and asking for our input, and you can see that race is changing and the organization gets better, and every year I go to another Ironman race, it gets better, like from our organization, and I think this is awesome, and it did not used to be like that 10 years ago. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you, Patrick. Coming from Patrick, I think that's a huge pat on the back. That's really lovely to hear, and that is the only way forward, is because we are all one big family. Listen to each other, and what we can all do better, we do better, obviously, like you do as athletes every single day. To the members of the public, thank you so much for sharing your questions. To those of you on socials, thank you for sharing your questions. To the members of the media, when you want to do your questions, we do have a mixed zone just outside. If you go through the store to the left, for you to do those questions over there. We will be live. Make sure you check it out on Ironman.com and you can see where we are live. We're live here in Germany as well. We're live on YouTube. These are just some of the best athletes, male professionals on the planet, who will be starting and towing the line at the Lange on Sunday for the Mainova Ironman Frankfurt European Championship, with more than 3,000 hugely passionate, incredibly talented amateur age groupers. It's going to be another phenomenal day to remember our Ironman Pro Series, where every second matters. Thank you for being here, and another big round of applause to these incredible men.